Hello, friends. Oh, I'm already on it. Here you go. So, this is interesting. It's a musician I hadn't heard about, at least. And it's funny because I've heard other people playing his tracks. It's this one German dude who's playing a full live PA, a guitar, and singing at the same time. He does electronic music, but really, really good. His name is Monolink. So, one German dude sings in English, extremely talented. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. By the way, I am almost certain there will be more drops today. I tested out last night. There were more drops. The drops, though, are a bit different. There is some other solutions I'm exploring. I have done some setting changes. Here's the good news. If it drops, it should not kick you out anymore. We've at least fixed that part. So, yeah. Now, Rad's going to joke about differentiation. Is he wrong? Not necessarily, but I will point out we at least have a red sector. Consumer defensive, meaning people are treating today as a risk on. Now, of course, my ass, as Steezy's pointing out, I have Tesla puts. I'm not happy. I'm holding them, but I'm not happy. I also have Boyle shares, and guess how Boyle's doing? Yeah, not well. Right out of the market. Yeah, fuck with the OG meme and found out. I know. Still holding it, though. Let's see how today goes. God. Most of what I want to talk about today, though, quite frankly, it's going to be semiconductors. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah, I have November puts. I don't have the shortest dated puts, shall we say. Okay. The Boyle thesis was that the UK was plotting to make a big order for US natural gas. Big, long air shares. Yep, you guys shouldn't get kicked out now, so. Like I said, there's definitely something different about these disconnections, so. HP Vada, that's what we're testing today. But I still have a few more settings to play with tonight. So, fingers crossed. We'll find out. Yep, so thank you for the sub, Brad. Greatly appreciated. And thank you, Semis are fab. Thank you again. Steezy, what's the news on Visa and MasterCard? Bank of America's the news. Someone say money? I don't fucking know. Yeah, the news on Visa and MasterCard is Bank of America did exceptionally well. All right. First of all, related to Bank of America, CPI forecast. So let me share this with you guys so you can see it because it's fascinating. But intraday, there was a sharp drop on V. Oh, I have no clue. The CPI forecast from Bank of America basically is showing that the peak in CPI would have been June. They were predicting out the core CPI peak was actually just now. That's what their expectations is. All right. What's really wacky about this is they're basically seeing the year over year CPI by May to come down to 4.5%. And right now we're at 8.2. So that's a pretty significant decrease. However, by December, it's only putting us at 7.2, which is not quite frankly the biggest drop. So they think the drop comes much later. Rad, haven't CPI predictions been wrong though? Yeah, absolutely. In both directions. In both directions, they've been wrong. I think the most important thing to kind of pick up, kind of take from this is headline CPI June 9.1, July was 8.5, August was 8.3, September's 8.2. You can see a trend developing. It's not enough for a quote pivot though. Or were they projecting back in October? Oh, yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Remember, we were not supposed to get rate hikes this year. If you went back all the way a bit over a year ago, no one had dot plotted that out. So yeah, it's where we are. But on the topic of Bank of America, I want to show you guys something because it's super important. All right, it's super important. Bank of America CFO, look at the slide. Our consumer delinquencies remain well below pre-pandemic levels. And as Brian noted earlier, we're watching closely the early stage card delinquencies as they begin to increase modestly. Our net charge-offs remain low and stable. All right? Combine that with the fact consumer balance sheets, all right, specifically as it relates to consumer balances in their bank accounts across all income groups, is still elevated compared to pre-COVID. So guys, anyone who thinks due to inflation people are piling up more onto credit cards to pay their everyday goods, on average, no, they're fucking not. Even amongst the lowest paid people. All right? We've got some time before this slows down. It will slow down. We want to keep our eye very carefully on it. We do want to catch that. But yeah, all the thin twit accounts promoting doom and gloom, especially on the backs of the consumer, they weren't listening to JP Morgan. They are not listening to Bank of America. Suchi, what makes them think December CPI drops so low considering strategic reserves go offline? I mean, there's more than just oil contained within CPI. And everything else is like anything on the good side, whether it's apparel, even though apparel was actually creeping up. And people were blaming that one actually on people selecting more expensive stuff. No one needs fucking socks and sweatpants. Electronics were big down. Medical services are supposed to drop. Medical service was kind of a bit of a surprise up. B Hood, I love this. If I'm getting back 1 to 2% of my credit card, just pay it off each month, why wouldn't I use a credit card? Not only that, Miles, how important was it to use credit cards when you weren't traveling? Now you can travel. Yeah. HP Vado, thank you for 200 bits. Greatly appreciated. Rather Reptile says, people are starting to confuse pivot with capitulation. It's bothering me. In fact, let's drop. Let's chat. Let's chat. You can buy stocks right now and not believe in a pivot. In fact, I'm yet to find and yet to speak to a single person right now in the market who thinks there's a pivot coming anytime next year. Literally, not fucking one. Every time the market shows any signs of green, I'll go on to FinTwit or I'll go on to, FinReddit, and everyone's like, why are they buying? People keep thinking there's a pivot. No, you can buy without thinking there's a pivot. It's price versus pivot. We're not at some very expensive level right now for a lot of high quality stocks. Just making sure that's clear. B-Hood, did I peep the regardedness of short dates options? Yes. Yes, I did. I love that what you posted. Jay Corbett's been any news on Twitter Musk? Nope. No news. Soxel dangerous to hold? It has been for me in the past, so I'm not. I also think there's a better case for differentiation in semiconductors. I don't think the indices themselves work that well. I think there's going to be winners and losers. Reddit swap. But we're still in a bear market while the Dixie and yields keep ripping, right? Are the yields in Dixie ripping today? Are they? It's a good question. Correct, B-Hood. People need to use the right words. Pivot is to reduce rates. Yeah. Much like when we talk about inflation, inflation is rate of change. So people sit there and look at prices going up month over month and thinking, oh my God, there's not peak inflation. Like, motherfucker, yeah. The rate of change isn't higher than it was a few months ago. Yeah, Dixie dropped today. That's what I thought. I wonder how much of it was the Bank of England. Anya, so happy the recession's been canceled. No, it is not. We got next year for that one. You're not going to get a recession with 3.5% unemployment, and when the Atlanta GPN moves GDP expectations for this quarter up to 2.3%. You're not getting a fucking recession. That's not a recession. It's going to happen next year when everyone's out of the cash. Hey, Steely, how you doing, my friend? And if you're worried about, quote, investing in a bear market, keep this in mind. A, you can always go short. But B, there's a lot of good companies in here that it's like, all right, fine. If you hold them and they drop 10, 15%, fine, that sucks. But long term, there's some really good companies here. And you got to remember, guys, it's not just what you see on a screen. When the prices get to a certain level cheap, they will either go private or get acquired if they're real companies. If you're not investing in bullshit companies. This time my camera gets short laddered. Yep. All right. By the way, these drops are different because I'm noticing my bandwidth goes down, but I don't get drop frames, which I assume some of the settings I've changed. They're sabotaging me. I agree. Yep, Steely Hands points out. So, in terms of the Dixie, the dollar wrecking ball as it plows through, China is going to defend their yen by selling US dollars, which means the value of the dollar goes down. That's good. Bank of England's pulling some shit, mainly on the fiscal side. All right. Is Liz Truss even going to survive this week? God damn. And separately, how come the UK can change their prime minister a month later, but they can't undo the fuckery of Brexit? Because Brexit's really fucked them. I don't get it. She wants to be Thatcher, but worse. It's easier to be Thatcher in the 70s. before the world ran on tech. And by the way, guys, I can't overstate this for you. The difference between today and the 70s, or even today in like the 50s or 30s, any of the time frame, shit, even the 80s. It's the predominance of tech. There's a fucking reason for it. It's tech. Look at the margins of tech. Okay, look at Google. Look at the free cash flow they can generate. Back in the day, do you know what a high quality American company that would produce that type of free cash? It would be a cyclical in their up cycle, and they would get ravaged during down cycles. We don't know yet to what degree Google actually gets down cycles. Yep, oil. Oil when it's up. Then the next year or so, oil loses money. Google will never lose money at this point. That's the crazy thing. Hey, Jordy, thank you for the sub. I know, AMD. AMD is one of the most disrespected stocks in the market right now. Disrespected stocks. You want to see an example of how disrespected it is? I will show you. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, make it smaller so you can fucking see. All right. I want to share with you guys a story. All right. If you're out there with a friend of yours and a bear comes up, y'all have heard this before. How fast do you need to run to not get devoured? I'll tell you right now, you don't have to run faster than the bear. You have to run faster than your friend. All right? Well, in this case, AMD is going camping with Intel. All right? Intel, kind of fat. Okay? Intel done got the best wheels. AMD's been practicing. They've been working at this. Look at the share. This is what matters. The column to the right. All right? This is data center. This is servers. This is CPUs. Yeah. You could see the Intel shit coming a long way away. I was downgraded to 648. Good. I was trying to actually cut my my frames. That's crazy it sounds, yeah. Yep. Faster than your friend is all you gotta be. Now look at this. AMD's share of the x86 servers. Basically, every x86 server, that's the architecture they use. It's either Intel or AMD. All right? Look at it. Okay. AMD starting off in 2020, 6.3% share in the data center. Now, just under 23%. This is why AMD has gone up. And good news, guys. This doesn't matter. This is the part of the segment. This is the part of the semiconductor end demand that is still going fucking strong. So even if you see a contraction eventually in the data center, which I think eventually you're going to see, AMD has the smaller market share, but it's growing. And at this point, you're almost committing, like, if you're a hyperscaler and you're taking orders right now for Intel's most modern data center chips, you're going to spend more money in the end simply because of energy consumption. That's the fact that Intel's pushed off Sapphire Rapids until late next year. It cannot be understated how devastating that is. Yep, Black Raven, if you look at the units, they actually decreased. Yep. And guess what? Hold on, decreased. No, not AMD. Intel, yeah. This is all of 2020. These are per quarter. So unless you're talking about Intel just getting fucking bodied. Oh. But a lot of customers held off deals. Where did the units go? That's a really good question. So, part of what's happening on the server side is there is more competition now from ARM servers. Yep, Sapphire Rap, it does sound like a strip club. Gonna be honest. And I think a strip club would probably be better at data processing right now. I'm being too brutal to Intel. Intel's got a lot of very smart people. The problem is, AMD is just coming for their ass. AMD's got better leadership for the last, 6 years. So the problems are before Gelsinger. I'll get to the banks, don't worry. I'll jump back there. But yeah. Intel, the I don't like Intel right now. Nothing's changed there. When people start talking about like, oh, but semiconductors suck right now, you're probably not wrong. But all the weakness you're hearing about right now is on the PC gaming side. All right, it's on consumer electronics. Data center is still strong. AMD has a lot of room to grow. Also, keep this in mind when you look at units here. AMD has been supply constrained, meaning they could not get the full allocation of chips. Partially why they've probably been keeping their average sales price really high. I mean, look at the average sales price. People are paying $1,000 on average for a data center CPU from AMD. Black Raven. So ARM took the market share. ARM's growing a market share, absolutely. This is just when you see market share here, AMD share. This is just for x86. When you look at the entire server market, there's a small but growing piece of ARM chips. By the way, the interesting aspect is one of the companies that's most proficient in using ARM chips is Amazon, and Amazon's buying more and more x86 server chips every year. The pie is growing. See that, dude? Yeah, I saw that. Error got initiated by another firm. Someone say money says, it's weird for PC gaming. The latest NVIDIA high-end graphics card, the RTX 4090, is doing well for sales, and it's ludicrously priced. I was talking about that last night with Windmaster in chat, and it's fucking weird. I'm seeing the same thing. Now, maybe this is just NVIDIA's typical strategy. They always push a lower amount in the sales channel, but they delayed the 4090 from when it was supposed to come out. They have a lot of supply of it. So I don't know what's going on. That GPU, if you're not mining with it, I can't think of an honest example. Like, this is the ultimate first adopters jumping in. That data center card, or that GPU for consumers is super powerful. You don't have a need for it. Yeah, JB Ghost, I'm not finding reliable sales numbers yet, but I've been finding a lot of commentary on sources I do trust that have been suggesting it's actually been quite impressive, which makes no fucking sense. Black Raven, this whole pick seems to be misleading. No, it's not answering the question you're looking for. All right. Believe it or not, Black Raven, this is kind of cool. When I was working corporate analytics, oftentimes when I'd present something, and I would present based on what the person asked, and the person would always be like, well, this doesn't answer this question or this question, which I was never asked. What this question is answering specifically is how AMD is doing its Intel. Let me tell you why it's important. Because you can't just interchangeably switch from x86 to ARM. And that's super important, all right? So that means there's always a market for x86. Even if ARM is going up, the ability for a data center to switch out their existing instances where they have x86 chips into one of the new ARM chips, it doesn't really exist. It's very specialized. So, but you're right. I mean, the bigger thing is the pie is increasing for all of them. God, Intel just got fucked. Last quarter, their data center was terrible. Prometheum yields creeping back up today. Wonder the SPY gets rugged. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked. All right. C.Dude says, anecdotal, but as a gamer that skipped the 2000 and 3000 series, if I have enough dough to get a 4090, means I play 4K games at 100 plus frames per second, basically future-proof. Yeah, it is so strong. It is so strong. Yeah, Black Raven, because if you look at the number of units sold, it's almost the same for both. But AMD has considerable price advantage, yeah. Reddit swap. Yep, this is a good point. Switching to ARM is not that hard for most common applications. What's more important, cloud vendors will switch their internal services to ARM as soon as they can, since it makes total sense at this scale. Yep, there's an arms race, get it? Arms race for future CPUs, particularly the combination of using ARM and x86. Like, there's a lot of really interesting, like put it this way. We all know about Xilinx. Am I cutting out? When AMD acquired Xilinx, they acquired an ARM designer. JB Ghost, you just can't imagine that many people pouring money into the 4000 series just as the 3000 is becoming more widely available and much cheaper with bit mining crashing. I know. I'm shocked too. Is it just enthusiasts, gaming enthusiasts? I could get it if there was a killer app in existence, a game that was so processor intensive that it actually mattered. But right now, are we there? Is there a game in existence where you need that raw power? So if you're not mining, crypto mining, what the fuck? Either way, I think the bigger lesson is the 4090s are super powerful. I just think right now you don't have a need for that much power. Netflix fucking today. To be fair, everything's fucking. Minecraft. Old school RuneScape. Oh my. You fucking boomers. Yeah, you're not wrong though. Well, related to Minecraft, have you guys caught Roblox? Huh? Before I move into the banks, I'm gonna point something out though. Why is Roblox up 21 fucking percent? Anyone catch the news? Extremely good read through on their daily average users and bookings. Their numbers are looking very good. Very good. Yeah, you just got a sick new battle station. Now let's play Fall Guys. Is Roblox the metaverse the kids want? I don't know. It's a super good question. You don't need a GPU for Roblox, right? Not a good one. At least not that good one. The only type of game that would make sense to require that much power is some crazy procedurally generated game for some reason. I agree. Or when you get into like true metaverse, where basically you have to do rendering of 3D environments in real time, where people have the ability to look around and like that's what I think you're talking about. The kid turned 7 and got $475 in Robux from friends, family. Oh yeah. Kimbo, old school RuneScape streamers are apparently quite lucrative as boomers have more to donate. Sounds about right. Hey, Jetski, how you doing, my friend? Quite the impressive day. Net is going hard as a motherfucker. First of all, a lot of stocks are, except for the ones I own. I have Boyle. That's not going well. SCHW not doing well either. Interesting. They had their best quarter ever. The problem with this one is probably valuation. And let me show you this one. I know. I played RuneScape actually, I think for like 2 weeks. I didn't like it. That was a long, long time ago. All right. Here's the problem. You usually assess banks by price to book. This one's trading at like 3.9. Valuation may be coming to play on this one. Compare that to Bank of America, okay? Bank of America, they're fucking today. All right? Their price to book is 1. Remember, you value apparently banks price to book. So yeah, maybe that's the rule. Maybe that's the story behind SCHW. Because SCHW had an excellent quarter, don't get me wrong. So did Bank of America. Bank of America, though, wasn't objectively expensive. SCHW probably was. So maybe it's just valuation, right? C-Dot asks, why is Micron lagging other semis? I have no clue. Micron should be recognized as the winner of all of the China rules that are coming out. Yes, Jetski, I did. I like it. I like that piece. I agree with it. Basically, the rise of regionalization over, say, globalization, rebuilding, reshoring supply chains, more of a longer term push to inflation. The one thing that I will sit there and say that I think is really interesting is what happens if we move. We're going to move towards regionalization. We know inflation's going to be going up. We know a lot of capex has to be spent. At a certain point, does the geopolitical situation change in the world where we start moving from regionalization back towards globalization and start undoing some of that work? That's my question. And I don't know. We'll see. JB Ghost, you're kind of amazed Stadia never took off. Seemed like such good timing, but those things do have 0% success so far. Yeah, they're walking into a very crowded market. The interesting thing was Stadia existed at a time in which you had problems getting other consoles. Now getting other consoles is not going to be a problem. Can Europe fix its energy crisis by building more nuclear? If they do, you're not solving this energy crisis. You're solving the next one. Because it takes, what, 3 or 4 years? Yeah, Jetski. I almost wonder if there's this longer term cycle like the world hasn't truly seen yet. Like over like literally like centuries. Where the nation states start trading, then start specializing, then relationships break down. They move to more in-source for security, and the cycle then begins anew. And Butaska, thank you for the sub. Greatly appreciated. CM Bird, 3 to 4 years is a total pipe dream. Giggity. If everything goes right and construction starts today, you're looking at 5 to 10 years from an operational nuclear power plant. Yeah. I think that sounds about right. And here's the one thing I'll say is from a humanity standpoint. This is a constraint. It's not a physical constraint, i.e., it's not something we have to deal with. If humans want to move through this, I am sure there's a way we can build safe, well operating infrastructure without taking that much time. So spontaneous. Didn't get to see my take on CPI last week. Think the rally's been fake? No, not at this price. It could be. Nothing would shock me. You do not need a reason for stocks to go down or up right now. That's my viewpoint. But CPI did show some of the increase in core. Essentially, we are on such a lag, particularly on the housing data. We're going to be fucked on CPI measurements for a while. But meanwhile, everything else, a lot of the important stuff, is showing signs of going down. Labor is at least plateauing. So, all rallies and all dips are fake until proven otherwise. Remember, nobody rings a bell at the bottom. All right? I've seen too many people on FinTwit saying, we're not going to have a bottom until X happens. And it's like, the market's not going to alert you when a bottom's been hit. God. The fact that consumer defensive is lagging and everything else is up, It's a little bit of differentiation. The fact that Schwab, after having their best quarter, is down probably based on valuation, I'm not sure. Meanwhile, Bank of America, which was a lot cheaper, is now up on a very good earnings print. This is kind of signs of differentiation. I know, everything's green. We are seeing at least one sector lagging, which kind of makes sense, consumer defensive. And we're having intersector differences. Suchi says, you never buy the largest dip because they will probably be caused by nuclear Armageddon. Well, one thing I will say, if you think nuclear Armageddon is coming up, you buy a lot. All right? If your downside is the end of the world and destruction, no one's there to collect your debt. Retire the word differentiation? Nope. That word stays. I've always loved that word. Thoughts on Xi telling his parents the teacher didn't give him a report card this month? I didn't see that. You think Meta surprises to the upside? Well, look at this tweet. Meta and Google ad checks in line, slightly better trends persisting. Meta's advantage is working, RBC says. Advertiser former commentary favors Meta versus Google. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about, China's not releasing their data. It's probably not good. At the beginning of the year, let's chat, guys. This is important. MB Tosca, I talked about it. Give me 1 second, I'll mention it again. So, for those of you who don't know, there is a kind of social contract between the Communist Party of China and their citizens. Okay, the number one metric that's mattered has always been GDP. They want to see GDP growth. When I was first studying China, by the way, so now you're talking about like, say, 2006, 2005, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. The country would usually average around 10% GDP growth per year. That's a lot. All right. But you got to understand, you have an entire generation of Chinese who literally, as children, may have gotten meat in their diet twice a week. And nowadays, every meal contains meat. That's an interesting way of looking at prosperity and wealth increases. Do you have more meat in your stew at night? All right. So for China, GDP growth matters. Early on this year, the Chinese Communist Party has set out 5.5% GDP growth. This year, they're going to struggle to get even 3%. And rest assured, zero COVID fucked them. Their own decision. That's on them. The fact that they're supposed to have GDP prints and they didn't, and it's while their little shindig going on right now, that's not coincidental. That's being done. Yeah, they're going to look to double their GDP by 2035. Yeah. So they don't like the numbers. They're not going to release them. Now, I guarantee there are going to be people sitting there going like, we don't trust the numbers. We don't trust the numbers. I put it this way. I don't trust the numbers in the sense that I don't think the numbers that get reported at the provincial level are actually like accurate for effective, true economic driving growth. I don't think they're misadding things. Put it that way. Xi Jinping sticking with zero COVID is surprising. Kinda. I think zero COVID is something you enforce. It's not a promotional tactic, so to speak. I think that I'm put it this way. I'm not sure they are going to truly stick with it, at least to what we've already seen. But if they were going to change, they're not going to announce it. There's no B-Hood. Do you mean there's no way they change the actual implementation of the policy versus they publicly go out and slam it? That's my question for you. Yep, jacking and blasting. That's my thought. Instead, what I expect you'll see is at certain like regional or city levels, you'll still see some, I would say, smaller lockdowns. I don't think they're going to move larger scale lockdowns. I think they're going to chase. They're going to do a lot of testing. Individuals are still going to get fucking shut down, no doubt about it. But I think the degree to which you saw like all of Shanghai locked down or all of Shenzhen locked down, I honestly, I think it will take a pretty severe outbreak for that to come back. But meanwhile, they're not going to say anything new. Because if they did, they'd be admitting COVID zero was a waste. And they're not going to do that right now. I have the like November 11th, like $150 puts. Garfo, are they still moving positive cases to COVID camps? I don't know. Your view is current policy says the same. Okay. I think they'll tweak the implementation of it, but they're not gonna ever admit it's going away. They'll say it's the same thing. Even if it's not, even if there's any differences, they'll never admit that it's different. That's my expectation. All right. Meanwhile, I'm kind of sad Apple's up so big. I'm kind of sad Apple's up so big. I've seen two different pieces this morning. I actually think one was last night. People are calling for upside in Apple. Morgan Stanley. We are cautious following a deterioration in our consumer and enterprise hardware checks in the last 3 months. We highlight Apple as our highest conviction overweight name, giving greater insulation during downturn. All right. Basically, they pointed out the shift from the base model iPhone to the iPhone Pro, plus a rather surprising increase in the number of iMacs being sold, gives them a lot of upside view. And I agree. Apple is not, yes, flight to safety makes sense. If anyone's wondering, well, how the fuck is Apple safe? They have a $90 billion stock buyback, and Warren Buffett's one of their biggest owners. It's a safe name. All right. But the story behind Apple in this case is the idea that there's been so many people shitting on them, and yet Apple probably is going to surprise to the upside. They're probably going to beat earnings. That's actually what's expected. Frugal says, will consulting firms give out the pros instead of shitty models? Probably not. Consulting firms probably give out the shitty models. They still make money on them. It's just people that are making their own personal decision. Yeah. Give me liquidity. That and Apple will suck the least in the bear model. I actually like that viewpoint as well. All right, we back? Yep. Suchi, so what would give out first? Consumer spending or zombie company balance sheets? Ooh. Ooh, I love that question. I don't know the answer, Suchi, by the way. I don't know the answer. I fucking love that question. Can I briefly explain my thesis behind shooting? I assume you mean shorting Tesla. Yeah, really simple. By October 28th, Elon Musk has to make his acquisition of Twitter, or that judge is going to slap him down hard. They're currently in an earnings blackout period, so he can't sell shit. The idea is, I think within the day after Tesla releases earnings, the Elon Musk's window to sell opens up. He has to sell, I think I've seen anywhere between $3.5 billion to like $10.1 billion worth of shares, which is a lot. Bulldog, it would be a lot. Said we're looking at it, still diagnosing. Not October 31st. I believe blackout for him ends, I think, like the 19th or 20th. But he has until the 28th, so he has to sell a lot of shares. C-Dod, yes, I read Graybush's post. Yep, he's starting to get more bullish. I agree. And again, guys, like we talked about last week, it's price versus pivot. Here's what I'll say. And I'm not going to put words into the very handsome Graybush's mouth. All right? But I will point out, it's easier to get bullish down here than it is up here. You don't need a pivot, you need price. I'm still in my Tesla puts. Nothing's free money, and you should always be worried playing puts on Tesla, because it's a fucking meme stock. It's the OG meme stock. Seriously, have you guys seen some of the people on Twitter who follow Elon? The going rate for a hand job to Elon Musk is a horse. And these motherfuckers do it for free on Twitter. It's yeah. Yes, MP Tosca says, doesn't that mean Musk's going to try to pump Tesla more? Yes, he is. I think he's going to fraud the fuck out of these earnings. And yet, I think the data is not going to work out necessarily in his favor. Listen, in the best case scenario, guys, don't follow me on Tesla puts now. I have a very small position. All right? Instead, what I'm going to sit there and say is, you could wait till the day of earnings, after they release earnings, and then buy puts. What'd you get? You've seen the one lady write, all is love, all is Elon. Oh, God, is that the woman who's trying to fuck him on Twitter? Oh, she's like, oh, you look good. You've been working out. You've been eating right. And it's like, oh, bitch, what the fuck you doing? Oh, no. Oh, no, you can't do that. No, that's really cringy. That's super cringy. Who isn't? I know. Give me your seed. Musk's gonna pretend to be Putin's homie to the extent that someone's like, we don't want this dude owning Twitter just to get out of that deal. Yeah, I know, no shame. If your ass could have a baby, you'd... Oh, no way. The way to Elon's heart is to become a SpaceX executive and work under him. And by under him, you mean under him. So there is a company I bought some puts on this morning. I'm not sure if it's a good idea, guys. I will warn you right now. Silver Lake, crypto bank extraordinaire. It's a bank trading at a price to book of 1.5. This is an expensive stock. All right. Be cautious on this one. I believe this is the company with the MicroStrategy loan, and that's probably paying them out pretty well. But I was looking through some of Silver Lake's numbers. The company that I'm probably I'm getting more comfortable with, at least from a narrative standpoint, also reports this week. Let me pull up the earnings calendar. Ally Bank reports before the market opens on Wednesday. My understanding is Ally is like the number one exposed to car loans. What else is going to be pretty important in this one? This is something, by the way, that Jim Chanos, famed short seller, points out. Still not recessionary. That may still happen, but it's not right now. Nominal spending is still reasonably strong, it appears. All right. Lots of loans have been going out. But guess what? There's a separate post that's put out there that's circulating that shows, at least for Bank of America, the average FICO scores is really high. Really high. Where are all the shitty customers going for loans? Particularly, not housing, car loans. Yeah, credit's very strong. If there's cracks in credit, I don't think the banks are going to be the first ones. Affirm is an example. Ally is, I think, the biggest one. This is so risky. One random month next year, all of the spending is going to fall off a cliff and default might skyrocket. Agreed. But you've got a lot of time. Keep this in mind, Suchi. As long as bank balances are still elevated, you have a parachute. We want to catch them when that parachute's gone. Upstart, Affirm, Klarna, which is private. You can't fucking short it. But Ally Bank. Grandma's pension, I know. So Ally reports earnings this week, and I'm inclined to think they're going to shit the bed. Or at least they'll have negative commentary. One thing to be cautious about. If you use traditional bank measures, all right, this is not an expensive stock. So that's a bit of a concern. That's why I'm not in them right now. I'd love to see them really skyrocket. Yeah, Sophie student loans. All right, we're back. Germany to extend lifetime of all 3 nuclear plants. Interesting. Garfo from JP Morgan call. Diamond said U.S. consumer spending could dry up by summer as people exhaust their pandemic savings. Yep. Who still has pandemic savings? The average consumer, believe it or not, does. Bullish crash of second half of 2023 instead of first half of 2023. Yeah. Keep this in mind, guys. And this is going to catch a lot of people fucked up. All right. Get this. This is going to fuck with people. The day you hear people talking about how, hey, it was just confirmed we're in a recession. And I don't mean 2 negative prints off GDP. No. I mean, like, the NBER comes out and says we're in a recession. By that point, the market's already bottomed. The market will bottom before the economy. Yeah. CW, will we not have a recession until U.S. consumer spending comes down? That's what I think. Healing Care Bear, wireless. It's one of the things I'm checking out. So I have to see if I can run the use one of the those things you plug in that basically runs the Ethernet through your electrical cable system. Thing. The NBER declared recession in December 2008. The market bottomed in March 2009. Lots of people sold the bottom. Yeah. Keep this in mind, though. 2008 was really unique. I'm not playing puts, but I kind of want to. Sandroid. You're surprised to hear your friend say, I heard there's going to be a recession next year, but I thought it started already. We have not had a recession. Traditionally, a lot of commentators, a lot of people on TV use specifically this idea of if you have 2 consecutive negative GDP prints, that constitutes a recession. That's not how actual economists look at it. Credit Suisse just began the sale of the asset management arm. Good. They're a shitty company. We do not have to pretend like the U.S. economic system, our whole entire financial system, relies on the shittiest ran European bank. All right? I know, I'm showing my pro-American ties here. Name one good EU bank. Can't. Nope. Not going to do it. What is this? Interesting. Anyway. You have all Unify equipment at your place? Okay, maybe I should look into that then. By the way, when I'm shitting on European banks, please understand that I'm not shitting on their like consumer facing operations. Usually it's when they go into investment banking or like prime brokerage services. That's when you see the inherent shittiness start to come into play. Okay? So they can be good at service, they can be good at dealing with individual customers, they can provide good rates. That's fine. But we're talking about like more of the investment banking side, and that's what they suck. Sandroid, with the way housing prices are and the fact that 90% of your friends aren't having children, that wouldn't matter. With all due respect, your friends do not matter in terms of an imminent recession. You're worried that we're in that's a wrong data point. That's what I'd say. Keep in mind though, recession is one of those things. If everyone believes hard enough, you will see a recession. Okay? Recessions is negative growth. Negative, usually, like, you really want to see negative nominal growth, but that's not always happening. Walter Bloomberg, what happened to him? Let's see. He hasn't tweeted. Interesting. Maybe you got a virus. Because your friends aren't finishing inside enough. Oh, God. What the fuck is this? Someone's fighting a bear. Bear, I will stomp the shit out of you if you try this. That's wild. Look at this. Just out of nowhere. Fucking bear comes to this guy. He launches him. Nice. From a TA perspective alone, we've been in a recession since June. Jetski, just so you know, recession refers to economy, not market. So unless you've been doing TA on like economic indicators, which would be kind of cool. It's a little bear. It's a black bear, yes. Paul Pelosi, I've seen this. He took some losses. By the way, why do they keep calling this Nancy Pelosi? She's not trading. It's Paul fucking Pelosi. Jesus, this guy. Yep. Micron calls loss. Nvidia calls loss. Disney calls loss. Exercise Google to get shares was a loss as well. Kano got smoked? What happened there? Has there been news about the acquisition? They're supposed to be acquired. Whoa, what the fuck just happened here? What news? CVS backed out? Tickle Gags, thank you for the $50 tip, my friend. Greatly appreciated. Deal got canceled for Kano. All right. I guess I get that. Like, feels a little much. Wasn't there multiple people going after Kano? Wasn't even like Amazon, I thought Walmart were looking at them. Wow. CVS call time. Kano. I refuse to believe that the company is all of a sudden worth that much less overnight. I have no thoughts on the 3.5 star. One thing I will point out, supposedly it's not going to hit them until like revenue wise until 2024. And CVS already trades cheap. I didn't think it was worth a 10% drop in CVS. I'll say that much. Yep, Jetski. Yeah, your point's right. Yeah, bear market versus recession. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I just want to make sure people understand like there's a difference in the economy and market, and so that's why like recession is not driven by market. Usually, market reacts in some degree to it, but you're right. I'm trying to see if I can scam some Kano calls. Very long dated ones. No, probably not happening. There, I put a fuck you price in basically, so we'll see if that happens. But yeah, that feels a bit much. Yeah, look out below. Yeah, but CVS kind of liked the news. And again, maybe it's just a negotiating point. Truss has just removed one of her biggest remaining arguments for staying in power. Anal. Look at that. That's fucked. Do I ever talk about Canadian stocks? If I know about them, yeah, but otherwise, no. I talk about companies I know about. You are disappointed by the tendacious and selective analysis of team transitory acolytes who keep finding new arguments for their conclusion that inflation is about to subside and policy should be dovish. Really? Remember, this is the guy who says he wants unemployment at 6%. Never forget that. Interesting post. This guy, yeah, he really wants to be poor. If someone wants low unemployment, is that because they ultimately want to pay workers less? I don't know if I go that far. It's not necessarily a connection. Yep, I saw that, Rad. Germany has finalized keeping their reactors online until April. Three of them three of them specifically. While I'm making, what are my thoughts on Netflix? I have no clue. They're fucking mooning. There we go. We're back. Out of the repo and into stonks. Is that what's happened? Wendy, is that what happened? QQQ, new high of the day. Nice. Thoughts on Netflix? Well, do they have dragons? And the answer is kind of no. So 80 billion in buying, we full sending it. Oh boy. That's, if you guys believe in the liquidator, okay, that's ammunition. You didn't, oh man. That episode last night was excellent. By the way, apparently that ending was very different than the books. I believe 4 seasons. I believe they've said it should take about 4 seasons to get through the Dance of Dragons storyline. No spoilers. I'm not giving you guys spoilers. But House of the Dragon was excellent. Was that the season finale? No, next episode is. which I assume, based on what they've said, what they've kind of shown for like the preview for next episode, it's gonna end pretty intense. SCHW, what is Liquidator? Liquidator, much like over. Anyway. Are we back up? At least it doesn't kick you guys, huh? Slight progress. All right, Liquidator. All right. Liquidator specifically refers to the the Fed balance sheet using the reverse repo, because basically the more money banks are putting in through the reverse repo, the less liquidity is in the system. It's actually been one tool the Fed has used to pull liquidity out. Well, what happens when less money goes into reverse repo? That money's probably getting invested. So that's what I anticipate's going to be the case. So if you see an excess of $80 billion being pulled out, in fact, who's the guy's name that's been posting about Fed liquidity? What's that gentleman's name? Was that like Alexander something? No. Max, thank you. Max Anderson. Fuck yeah. Hasn't posted anything yet. Yeah, from the post, yeah. Yeah, Rapierto posted it in VTards. There's actually a post in VTards about Liquidator. I'd advise you guys read it. Snap better not crash. I agree. Let's go one step further when we talk about Snapchat. In one quarter, in 90 days, Snapchat removed its market cap from Google twice. That same quarter, at the end of the quarter, when Google reported earnings, they beat on advertising. Snap crashing the market was bullshit, but in particular, Snap crashing Google twice. Literally, Snapchat's entire market cap got removed from Google twice in 30 days. When Google then reported earnings, they beat, particularly on ad revenue. Yeah. Turns out Snapchat's problems because Snapchat's a bottom bitch. By the way, there was a lot of news on Semiconductor in terms of analysts. Analysts went through, what's his name? Vindin. I forget his fucking name. Hold on, let me pull him up. He's been a little bearish on semis, which is fine. It's his job. I respect that. Let me pull it up, though. Let's see. I know he had mentioned it on QCOM. Yep. As China weakness, PC market downturn take toll on semiconductor sector ahead of Q3 results, analyst recommends these chip stocks. Yep, so John Vin sees semiconductor demand slowing broadly across all end markets in Asia, with consumer-exposed segments such as PCs and smartphones being the worst hit. Demand in cloud data center is moderating, although it remained fairly strong, with the exception of China Cloud. Automotive and industrial end markets were more resilient than consumer, but demand across both these segments was slowing down. The analyst noted order pulls by ICE and electric vehicle customers in the automotive segment. All right, slowing channel demand is being driven by customers looking to lean out inventory as lead times continue to ease. He added demand from North America and Europe remained heavily. With analog chip suppliers such as Analog Devices, onsemi, NXP, and Microchip increasing prices, Vin sees the higher prices offsetting near-term easing in backlog demand. The analyst said this will support modest upside to third quarter revenue and fourth quarter guidance. On the other hand, chip suppliers to Chinese communications equipment should do well as stimulus measures boost spending. Chip stocks with favorable risk reward: Lattice Semiconductor, Analog Devices, onsemi, Qualcomm, and Skyworks. Skyworks I do not like. Okay. Meanwhile, chip stocks with downside risk: Intel, Monolithic Power Systems, and then Synaptics. Not Synopsys, Synaptics. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, the one, on the cell phone side he liked was Qualcomm. He pointed out Qualcomm he thought was already de-risked. Prometheus, maybe you've been reading too much bearish research reports. You're very worried that core CPI PCE is going to stay elevated into Q1 and the Fed will hike past 5%. I don't. I'm worried about it, don't get me wrong. And I think the market could still go down without that being the case. I'm not as worried though. And I will tell you why, right? I'll tell you why. Because what we are seeing already is a lot of commentary off last FOMC and now the Fed speakers coming out, specifically calling out upside risks of over tightening now. And they've been acknowledging that there's a delayed impact, particularly on the housing side. I do think we're going to see, particularly core, due to the delayed effect of housing, it's going to continue to come in high. But if we get medical going down and finally automotive transportation services come down, it's going to really be helpful. Remember, guys, Fed hiking is, at this point, no one's surprised. You don't need a pivot. Put it that way. You don't need a pivot. We know we're getting another about 150 basis points worth of increases. That's like the base case now. The concern is what happens in 2023. And that is a legitimate concern. Boy, if you have one more geopolitical fuck up, and there's no bottom of the market. That's how fragile we are. We just need the world to chill the fuck out. Consumer can take the rate hikes, correct. The companies that can't are the shitty companies that, quite frankly, should never have existed. All right? If you're a company that required sub 2% interest rates to even exist, you don't belong here. I think housing data people are the housing sector is going to be fucked. German trains are being sabotaged? No, I didn't catch that. Also, consensus still has 2023 year-over-year earnings at 8% when it should be closer to Bank of America's -9. What's Bank of America's target at the end? Was it 200 or sub 200? Oh, Windy. There's a funny earnings analyst. Watsco CEO giving an analyst a hard time. This was back in 2017, by the way. I like this. So the CEO says, no, we don't have a crystal ball. As we always say, we are active. We believe we offer great companies, opportunity to join us, blah, blah. I can't tell you when. I have a question for you, Jeff. Are you here? Jeff Hammond from Keybark. I'm here. The CEO. Tell me, why is it that you and others put out estimates and you ignore the estimates that we put out? And then for some reason, you expect the company to meet your estimates rather than the ones that we put out. Why is that? Happens all the time. Jeff. Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to take the industry data and what we think the market's going to grow at. And the CEO interrupts him. Don't you think we know the industry data better than anyone else? Don't you think our information is probably better than yours or anyone else's that's an analyst? And don't you think when we put together our estimates, we have a much higher quality way to look at things? I just don't get it. Damn. Hey, LT leaves. Holy shit. Yep. Credit Suisse going to begin the sale of their U.S. asset management arm. Yep, they should. They're a shitty bank. Hey, Freedom Dow. How you doing, my friend? Federal Reserve bot pump. What the fuck? Yeah, we're getting a nice little pump in the market today. I don't know if I think this is a new trend. I don't trust the market right now, so. Yeah, just do the math, Emily. You use the wrong numbers. Yep. You think we're rejecting 3,700? Should be. I mean, if that's the case, like, cool. We're already up 2.6%. Yeah. I saw your comment, Jetski. Yeah, pointing out TA suggests even after a powerful move by indices, including SPY, we should remain cautious. Yeah, I agree with that. Hit Garfeld. We did talk bank earnings. What was the news of Yellen asking banks if they want her to twist the curve perfectly for max return? Just so you know, the idea was not the Fed, but Treasury Department to essentially provide some liquidity to the market to buy back certain bonds. Here's the interesting thing. Apparently, it was done in a survey, and this is the exact type of survey that Treasury does ever so often. It's actually not out of the blue. When looking at CVS calls after the dip, no, I'm actually looking at Kano calls. see. My calls did not go through. Oh, my Silver Lake puts are up, though. This company can fucking die. I'll probably sell before the end of the day. This company can fucking die. There's an interesting Bank of America chart comparing sector cyclicality. Energy has a 37% chance of earnings declining in a given year, and healthcare has a 0% chance. I know. Jetsky, I wonder if that guy was right in a normal time frame. But as people have pointed out, B had pointed out, if people keep playing these short-term options, if they're dwarfing essentially like the rest of the options market, can we see the VIX go up? Also, I'll say, as someone who does applied statistics, a sample size of 6 or 7 is not, it's not credible. It just happens to work that way in the past. It doesn't mean it's got predictive power. That's the problem. It's not retail playing the options. Okay, so what, market makers? Which would make sense. Why do I feel, Garfo, you're asking a very degenerative question? VIX 25 before 35. Can Tesla just fucking die? Hmm. God, look at the bright green. Ugh. See if Kano's done any bouncing. Not really. Everything has volume today, which seems like a good sign. It could be. A lot of shit stocks are doing really well today. I don't know if that's a good thing. Kano, more like cannot. Twitter's being calm. Nvidia's having a hell of a fucking day. Yep, Meta's having a hell of a day. I like small balls. Love that name. Am I worried about CVS stock price long term? No, long term, I love CVS. Long term, I love CVS. They're a very unique company. Very unique. They don't have any direct individual company that serves as a true peer competitor because you don't have any company that's a combination pharmacy, health insurance company, and pharmacy benefit manager. Those 3 planks are extremely strong. And the fact that CVS was looking at companies like Kano to go into point of care like home health services is a really sexy move. I'm not worried about them at all. You can make the argument that in the healthcare side, or rather specifically the health insurance side, like UNH is probably a safer play. But CVS is unique. There's no one like them. They're going to move to becoming, quote, vertically integrated. Here we go. So volume and open interest, got it. We do not think this is retail. It's likely the bulk of this comes from the more sophisticated volatility, high frequency trading entities. Whereas the contracts are being used for risk management, more speculative views is up for debate. What is less debatable, in our view, is that this flow can inflict large volatility on markets. Sounds about right. DGib, that's what I'm wondering. If this is what we want to do in terms of buying Kano. Listen, the stock is down 41%. It was a company that attracted a lot of interest, and it basically dropped to what could be a support level. So I don't know. I mean, does this bring other suitors out to play? Any interesting options activity? Whoa, yeah, there has been. Yeah, Kano major shareholders are still pushing for an acquisition. Yeah. Okay, so I have December 16th, $5 calls for Kano. Small position. Small position. Jetski, you're saying could we see the dollar index peaking as we speak? I don't know what it says on the TA side, but if China and the Bank of England and Japan are all three talking about what they've been talking about, there could be a good fundamental argument. That's what the currency looks like. The Dixie is, oh my god, it's at 111, which by the way is still high. Just saying. But yeah, it's at the lowest point in the last week. Could be dropping. God, that'd be great. If the dollar drops, it's good for stocks. Japan's going to be supporting the yen. Japan also did some crazy shit last night. Kuroda was saying we're going to keep being supportive. We see inflation going back to 2% by next year. I.e., so Japan is keeping yield curve control in place. That is correct. They still have their unlimited buying operation. They can buy bonds, their version of a 10-year. Yeah, the 10-year Japan bond's going on 2 weeks without a single trade. Like, it's so fucked up. Every other country be screaming. It's a fact that it's happy Japan. Japan's been looking for inflation for a while. They're happy. They are pleased. You guys saw that high PPI print. We covered it last week. And Japan don't give a fuck. Jesus, David Sachs needs to shut the fuck up. Yeah, Japan, I don't know fully what their strategy is. They're kind of in a weird spot. Those Silver Lake puts are kind of printing, kind of. No, I'm being cautious on Kano. Let's not pretend like this is driven by TA, though. It's not. The fact that it dropped a support, though, is interesting. How's AMC doing today? I have seen so much horrible shit. We're about to shit on apes, by the way. Oh, brutal. They're having a good day. Good for them, by the way. I'm cheering for the apes. Man. So check this out. Over the weekend, there was news that AMC took about $106 million they got from issuing shares of Ape and were able to pay off some debt. Plus, they pushed out some of their debt due, next year to 2027. They're going to pay more in interest. So 14% interest rate. But here's the thing. All the AMC, pump and dumpers, the ones trying to con, the apes on this, which, fuck them. They no love for this group. All right? Keep talking about this is such a bullish event. It's like, okay, they had to push out their debt. They're paying more in interest. The only ability they had to pay off some of their debt, they paid off $106 million. It's about $100 million worth of debt, right? They still have $5.3 billion worth of debt. They paid off $100 million. Context, my friends. And how did they pay it off? Was it from cash from operations, free cash flow? No. It was from a capital raise. Which means if they're going to keep paying off debt this way, they're going to dilute their shareholders some more. And by the way, at a certain point, this becomes interesting. Ape shares for $1.90, trades for $1.90, right? AMC trades for $6.30. At some point, there is the ability for AMC to call for Ape shares, a vote for Ape shares to become convertible to AMC shares. So you have the ability to buy an Ape share at $1.90 and, quote, convert it for $6.31. That is arbitrage. Arbitrage doesn't really exist. So what's going to happen? The second there is some kind of announcement of a vote, you're going to see the prices equalize, which, by the way, will probably work in both directions. Ape will go up, AMC will go down until they meet somewhere in the middle. And by the way, that vote, holders of Ape can vote. That's super important. Hey, Whiskey Jack Black. Just watching the market kind of hulk out. See what we can learn from it. It's a weird day. I don't think today's I like the action, don't get me wrong. I don't think today matters, though. Does Ape even have options? I'm so scared of the answer to this question. Good, I don't see options for it. Yeah, I saw that jet ski. The insider trading, the insider selling on AMCs has been savage. Rad. So would the smart thing to be to buy and hold Ape shares? Yes. Here's the problem, though. Rad, here's the problem. There is an existing ability for them to dilute Ape already. They already have authorization to issue 3 billion more shares. So the problem is while you're holding it, they're going to dilute you the entire fucking time. While making, is it considered unprofessional for headhunters to reach out via WhatsApp? They usually reach out to you via email, LinkedIn, some new. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. AMC 1 expires Friday, and then it's ape options. Oh, God. Are y'all doing degenerative shit? Y'all doing degenerative shit? That's fair. Sounds scammy. Not, not necessarily scammy, just, I would say weird. Pentagon eyes locking in Starlink funding for Ukraine. There we go. Oh, Connor Duffy, you know it. We're not going to talk about it, though. No spoilers, but some people haven't seen it yet. All right, we back. Yep, Rad. It's interesting when you point out, you say House of the Dragon has way too many similar names. Hard to keep up with the Aegon, Aemon, and whatnot. You're right, but keep in mind the fact that they keep naming their kids Aegon has actually been a plot point. So yeah. By the way, if you guys don't know, G.R.R. Martin specifically like wrote with a lot of like English history in mind, where they kept having like Edwards, John the X, Edward the X, etc. So that's partly intentional. But yeah, you're right. The fact that there's an Eric and Arik, and they're twin brothers, and they've introduced them. That to me is more shall we say, fascinating. The story, yeah, this story is War of the Roses. Yeah, and if you know your history, by the way, that means you probably know the ending. For anybody who doesn't know, the War of the Roses, long civil war in England. All right, and I'll tell you this much: you had the Lancashires versus the Yorks, otherwise known as the Lancasters. Or sorry, the Lannisters versus the Starks. Mary, Queen of Scots. Yep. The House of Dragon finale will be absolutely lit. Oh, it's gonna fuck with people. Someone one-shotting the enemy off camera. I hope not. But yeah, it's gonna end pretty fucking shocking for a lot of the people who don't know the story coming into it, and that sets the it looks like blood and cheese will happen next season, and that's gonna be fucking horrifying for people. In fact, timing wise, it could be like the second episode. I already had Boyle, and I did not buy it. Good timing. I don't care though. Is there any announcement on Kano? Because Kano just went up. Someone just bought a good amount of Kano. How long until next season? Yeah, it's supposed to be like what? Like I don't know when it's coming out. It better not be 2024. I think that would be stupid. I did not buy the $5 call for 1021. I bought December 16th $5 calls. What happened? Not IJ. Did the season on House of Dragon end? You're behind a few episodes? No, next episode's the last one. Yeah, a lot of option buying on Kano. What about the person with the $250,000 GME put play? I think people were questioning if that was real, by the way. I don't know. I don't have any judge. But if that's the case, that person got fucking melted today. Oh. God. What's this caffeine? Credit Suisse Group, AG, approached at least one Middle Eastern sovereign wealth fund for capital injection. Sounds about right. Nope, nothing at all like Lehman. Motherfucker does. Actually, he does know it's not. He just pretends not to know. I swear. I like the topics Zero Hedge covers, but Jesus Christ, his fucking slant. My Kano call? All right, we back. Zero Hedge got me. Twitch streams, what is the Kano drop? Kano dropped 40% because there's a report comes out that CVS is no longer interested in acquiring them. Yeah, jet ski. The volume profile, the drop, yeah, a lot with selling conviction, as people would do when a quote acquisition falls through. That's not a shock. That would totally make sense. A lot of the people who bought Kano was for the acquisition. Hence why it dropped so severely. And it's already going up. Slightly. When Musk report he's no longer. God, Elon. What a fucking scammer. Why is Cigna not doing well? Was there a reason? Did anyone catch one on this? Why is Cigna not up? Then Fox. Supposedly Fox and whatever other Rupert Murdoch property, News Corp, were being potentially merged. God, Micron's been bouncing around today. Look at this. A lot of people were asking me my views on the semiconductor side about the China restrictions. Micron should be the big winner. I have the November 18th puts. I'll probably close them out, win or lose, before earnings, and then pick them up the next day. And by the way, guys, it's funny. I'd heard this was the case. I didn't want to mention it last week. Friday's sell-off could have been because of UK pension funds. They had until Friday to sell off a lot of assets, and US equities, and in particular indices, are the most liquid. This could explain the seemingly inverse tape today. I've heard that was the case. No, I would not buy puts on Micron. Micron may have already bottomed. We'll see if that's true. Usually Micron in previous semiconductor cycles tends to bottom somewhere near book value. It's now currently only 15% above book value. And just over the weekend, we just found out the entire Chinese memory sector got bodied. You were talking about Tesla puts. I have Tesla puts. And it's not worked out well for me so far. God, look at Micron. Like, that's the thing. The restrictions that China's facing from the US, that hurts the memory sector, but not Micron. Not Samsung, not SK Hynix either. The problem that Micron's faced is the oversupply compared to the, quote, under demand. Well, that supply is about to go down, particularly on leading edge memory. And that's where Micron plays the best. Also, did you guys catch the news from Apple? Apple is going to not use YMTC's NAND chips in iPhones. Okay? Supposedly they were looking to somewhere between 20 to 30% of NAND chips were going to come from YMTC. Now it's not. Who's the beneficiary specifically? Western Digital and Micron. They both make leading edge NAND. So it's really helpful. Whiskey Jack Black, leading edge memory. Is that what you're saying? Intel screwed up with the demand by delaying? Yeah, but that's more of leading edge DRAM, so DDR5, particularly for the data center. Intel was supposed to have the first kind of mass adopted data center CPU that utilized DDR5 memory with Sapphire Rapids. That got pushed back, so that's what's holding that up. What we're now talking about is the other end of memory, NAND. Okay? Let's chat. For all you PC gamers or people who build your own computers who basically know shit about PCs, you've got two types of memory, non-volatile and volatile. Okay? i.e., does the memory erase itself when you shut off your computer, or does it not? Well, flash memory, because it writes and reads in a flash, that's actually why it comes from, is NAND. All right? Think your hard drive. Solid state hard drives. All right? Think thumb drives. Thumb drives are NAND chips. All right? Then you have DRAM or RAM. So when you talk about your computer's memory for speeding shit up, you know, that's what you're talking about for DRAM. Micron makes both. The DRAM sector is a little bit better than the NAND sector. NAND sector has a lot more competition. All right? But Micron plays in both. Western Digital only plays in NAND. TSMC plays in neither. Intel, by the way, plays in neither. They sold their NAND business, actually, to SK Hynix. So yeah, Whiskey Jack Black, you don't need a special like NAND chips to work inside different computers. You do need specialized DRAM. Right, decision point in the VIX. Yep. Sounds about right. Crude oil can't even hold 85 XLE puts. I don't know. I'm getting my ass boiled by Boyle, which I'm probably going to hold because I'm stupid. Is Baba fuck with their cloud or do they make their own chips? Baba, I don't know. Semis are fab. Am I still worried about the chip design software companies like Cadence getting sanctioned? They've already been sanctioned. They're already not allowed, not really sanctioned. Synopsys is the one that may have a Department of Justice investigation going in against them because they may have been circumnavigating the rules. The rules is, though, leading edge EDA software cannot be provided to China. But anyway, back to this question. Is Baba fucked with their cloud or do they should still be able to buy CPUs. The restrictions, Baba doesn't manufacture their chips. The issue right now is really hitting Chinese manufacturing of chips. Doritos. Cool Ranch. I like the Cool Ranch Doritos. The interesting side is the high performance computing GPUs. So specifically the A and H100s from NVIDIA, and I forget the name of it, but the data center GPU from AMD. Those are more of for AI. Baba can still use existing AI chips. And by the way, companies can apply for waivers. The entire argument behind why the US was going to restrict AI chips was to keep it out of the hands of the military. So there's still the ability that these chips could end up going in, could still be sold. They just require a waiver. So they're essentially de-risked. I mean, as much as anything can be truly de-risked in this. But Cadence in particular, Cadence I like a lot. This is a really, really interesting company. Oh my God. I didn't realize their price was down that bad. That bad. Oh. For anyone talking about ARM chips and companies building their own ARM chips, or at least design their own ARM chips, that's the bull case for Cadence. You need software to do it. There's like 2 companies that provides this software. Prometheum, then I'm probably going to sell Boyle today then. I'll just take my loss. That's fine. All right, guys, let me go grab a drink and my food, and I will be right back. And we're back. All right, folks. Since I know how much you all love the poll and need the poll, we're going to do 367. This is a tough one for you bulls, but maybe the fact that I'm pointing out it's tough helps the risk return. So there we go. Poll's up. Poll is up, my friends. All right, we're back. Yep. Anyway, what I was saying, Amaranth's husband's a gigantic piece of shit, which just goes to show that a very powerful woman, a powerful person in general, what you see on the screen, it's not always what's going on. So I you know, like, I sincerely, I wish there was like a squad of like women streamers, superhero women who could like fly in. And the reason I'm saying women in particular is because if it's dudes, it's just gonna perpetuate objectification, and that's not the way it should go. What's happened to her husband? Yeah, no, he's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit. He was threatening her animals. He was threatening to take a lot of her wealth and just immediately blow it on zero DTE options. Apparently, he's a degenerative trader. What am I hiding? Big dick, massive, this long, quite thick, very big vein to the side, ribbed for her pleasure. Yeah, that's what I'm hiding. Gigantic meat, swinging a golf club. And no, yeah, it's fucking shocking what she's going through. And she was on stream showing the messages. Yeah, it was, yeah. Anyway, we back. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, it seems like in the last 5 minutes I've had 3 disconnections. Actually, last 7 minutes I've had 4 disconnections. And generally speaking, we're doing well today. At least I notice that I'm not losing viewers. Well, put it this way, I'm not kicking viewers. If it's annoying to you guys, that's fair. And by the way, I'm gonna look at some of the other. I'm set to look at some hardware options tonight. So I am working at it. I apologize. Algo's attacking me. Yep. Amarath's husband attacking me. Either way, if she was watching this, Amarath, if you ever like needed like help to what degree I could to keep you quote off the radar, that's fine. here's the thing, though. Apparently, Amarath being married and as a streamer, her husband was the one behind making her not tell people. And we've known she was married for a while. We've known this. We've called it out a while ago. I forget where I'd heard it. I'm not friends with these people. They don't know me. I'm a small-time streamer. But yeah, apparently it was her husband's idea to pretend to be single because it would attract donations. And there's a lot of piece of shit other streamers out there who are trying to use the opportunity. The shoulder to cry on. Yeah, no idea who that person is. Yeah. What's this, Callie Otter? Top 20 technology stocks, highest above their 52-week lows. Interesting. Interesting list. Not sure what it means, but. Oh, Dylan Patel posted, Russian companies began to receive from China up to 40% of defective microchips. Before war, this share was 2%. That's savage. My SI puts are printing, by the way. I'm up 20%. Keep going. Keep going. I have $60 puts that expire this weekend, and I'll probably close them. They report earnings tomorrow morning. Has anyone in here seen the movie Mallrats? Anyone seen the movie Mallrats? It's about China a bit. All right. This is a joke about from Mallrats, but to me, it's very indicative of what could end up being the story like a few years from now about the market. Okay? My cousin Walter once jerked off on a plane before. You know, basically he's on the airplane, it's at 35,000 feet. When all of a sudden, you know, the engine's cut off. Mass like turbulence starts happening and the plane starts going down. Oxygen masks start dropping down. So everyone starts thinking they're going to die. You can hear people screaming, people crying, people praying. So my cousin Walter just starts whipping out his dick and starts beating it. And after a while, you know, the person next to him looks over, he starts whipping out his dick and beating it. And after a while, it spreads. And at a certain point, you know, everybody on this plane, the plane's plummeting now very fast. And everyone's just jerking off like mad. Men, women, everybody. And then right when they think they're going to hit the ground, the plane levels out and starts flying normally. So everyone puts their pieces or whatever back away. And no one talks about it. Now, at some point, when he says, well, did he come? And I'm supposed to say, Jesus Christ, just some things you don't talk about. That's the joke. But in reality, we've had so much bad news. Everyone's positioned. Everyone's prepared for it. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. Remember, we had a war, an active war going on the grounds of a nuclear power plant. Remember that one? Nuclear power plant on fire was an actual headline. All right? And yet we're still not like, we're not plummeting truly to the depths of hell. And what happens if this is like the airplane, where guess what? We hit the turbulence, it sucked, and then all of a sudden, we just level out. What happens? Like, that could fuck with people, by the way. That could cost people money. Anyway. Semis are fab. Am I still bullish on China long term? Yeah, but it's weird. I would be a lot more bullish if it wasn't Xi Jinping. Give me back Hu Jintao. I can trust that guy. V1137. Did I talk about China and the chips restrictions? Yep, very briefly. Very briefly. But essentially the story is this. If you are a Chinese manufacturer of semiconductors, this is not good for you. All right? You're going to lose access to tools, equipment, and more importantly, personnel. Knowledge. The ability to creep up that value chain. This is the most difficult manufacturing process on Earth. And China's already struggled. Everyone's talked about the, quote, 7-nanometer ASIC chips. No one that nearly talks enough about how the yield is utter shit. Now imagine going from that to doing compound semiconductors, the type that like involves chiplets and shit, which Intel, AMD, even Nvidia already do. That's going to be tough already. To me, the big winner in this, there's two companies that you can trade that should be winning on this, and they're not particularly up a lot. Western Digital and the other is Micron, because the predominant semiconductor manufacturing in China is memory. There's a fab. What did I make of that noob Dylan P post? Yep, sounds about right. What the fuck's... What's Russia gonna do? Call customer service and complain? You gotta understand, China holds all of the cards in that relationship right now. Thank you for the 100 bits. It's greatly appreciated. Prometheum. This is a good question. I'll warn you, I don't know yet, but how much will these sanctions affect Chinese data center capex? As of now, it hasn't hit compute. Well, hasn't specifically hit CPUs. Okay, data center high performance computing GPUs, specifically for inference, specifically for AI applications. That's the interesting one. But so far, like, put it this way, Intel and AMD should not be losing any sales of CPUs to China customers, even if they're leading edge. It'll be interesting to see if that changes, though. That's actually a bit of a concern I have. Talking about it right now, Twitch streams. So I don't think it will impact data center capex specifically for the type of applications we see right now. But as China tries to move more into creating the, quote, AI factories that NVIDIA talks up, that's where it gets interesting. Put it this way, I've seen someone online post like a list of all these companies, these chip companies, with revenue to China. All right. And they've said, I'm going to short this entire list. And I hope the person did that first thing this morning, because Marvell has a lot of, quote, revenue sold into China, because their chips go into other companies' switches, or it goes into, you know, packaged optical transceivers, which are actually manufactured in China. The chip itself is manufactured in Taiwan. But from there, it goes to an end customer who may be in China, but more than likely is Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, or other big data center operators. All right. So a lot of times when people see this company has high revenue in China, it's not end market revenue. It's because they're selling their goods to then get another manufacturing step in China. So be cautious about seeing shit like that. But either way, I would not want to be an investor in the Chinese chip fab sector. CIMIC, YMTC, they are getting fucked on this. It is serious. I don't recommend playing them, but keep close eyes on Lam Research and ASML because they report this week. And Lam Research should be pretty big impacted. ASML will be interesting. I want to hear their commentary. By the way, I would not recommend necessarily playing puts on them. None of this news should be surprising people. So it may already be priced in. In fact, ASML, I think it may be overpriced in. The Brontosaurus is out. I know, Appeasement. I think the difference in AMD, I mean, keep in mind, how many times did Micron go down on the same news? You're like 3 times now. But with AMD, their guide was the first time AMD actually guided down. You could still extrapolate it from the fact that Micron and Intel and Western Digital and Seagate had already guided down, claiming PC demand was even worse than they expected. You could have backed some of that into AMD. Hey, Findivi, how you doing, my friend? Yep, AMD lowered guide so they never miss. Yep. Qualcomm's notorious for that too. Qualcomm hasn't missed in a long time. Speaking of Qualcomm, we get a few more bites in. I'm going to tell you guys an interesting story about Qualcomm. All right, so interesting news from Qualcomm. All right. All right. Here's the piece. The U.S. International Trade Commission, ITC, will investigate Qualcomm, Samsung, and TSMC over alleged tariff violations related to alleged patent infringement in certain semiconductor devices, mobile devices containing the same, and components thereof. All right. Here's the media piece talking about probing Samsung, Qualcomm, and TSMC. All right. Here's the U.S. government's release. The U.S. government release does not mention Qualcomm at all. It talks up Samsung Electronics, Samsung Electronics America, TSMC, and TSMC North America. Qualcomm is not mentioned here. Here's my question. Is the media never clarified this, by the way, is Qualcomm just missing from this press release? Or did someone get the information that Qualcomm's not being probed, that Qualcomm is the accuser? That's where it gets interesting. So that's why I asked, is Qualcomm the accuser here? They aren't mentioned in the release. Not only that, but when you look at them, what does Samsung and TSMC have in common? They're fabs. They both fab chips. Qualcomm doesn't fab chips. How would Qualcomm be up there? I'm willing to bet, not really bet, but I wonder if the real story here is Qualcomm is accusing Samsung and Taiwan Semi, of taking IP that belongs to Qualcomm, they obviously had to share to have it manufactured, and basically allowing it to go into chips that they're fabbing for other companies. You got a source for that, Prometheum? For ADI and Texas Instruments? Earlier on, we covered the John Vin note from KeyBank. He specifically called out ADI as one of the stocks he likes. Okay, are we back? There we go. So DK Bill, honestly, like to me, a Qualcomm and Air are like probably my two favorites. UNH has never missed street estimates for a quarter in the data I have going back to fourth quarter 2011. Wow. Chat Cat, oh shit, is this patent infringement going to tank TSMC? Shouldn't. This type of shit happens, quite frankly, all the time. It'll get negotiated. You think there's too much optimism about industrial and automotive markets? Again, I mean, the one thing that was called out was the idea specifically like ADI had just raised prices. If they thought demand was down, would they be raising prices? I do agree. I think specifically on the industrial side, but on the automotive, what's really interesting is we're going to get into a glut of cars, and there's no way it's going to stop. Unlike like DRAM or NAND chips, where all of a sudden they're like, we got a glut, stop producing. Chevy, Ford, all of them. There's a lot of car companies. They're going to overproduce. Car production is a national issue. It's also a very much local issue. You can't imagine them shutting down plants, especially unionized plants in like Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, just over demand. That's the one area the bullwhip is going to come hard. Okay, automotive production. We will overproduce cars. It's by intent. At some point, though, we should see some slowing down in those sectors, though. Oh, come on, die. Die, Silvergate. You can go lower. I know you can. Overproduction of cars is deflationary. You're damn right it is. But yeah, I promise you, automobiles in particular in the US, they will absolutely overproduce. It's going to be the most predictable bullwhip in the world. Wait till the cars start going for under MSRP, huh? Imagine that. SI is Silvergate. They report tomorrow morning. This is basically a crypto bank that's trading at 1.5 price to book. I'm not seeing any news on CVS, Kano. Nothing new. You love crypto boys, yeah. The only worry I have on this one, I mean, if you're measuring it as a bank, it's expensive. If you measure it to anything else, it's cheap. Spencer, you think CVS dropped? Yeah, we know. But supposedly nothing new has happened after that. So I bought some Kano calls and I'm already up 7.5%. My Silvergate puts are already up 21% now. Brad, you think the bullwhip will crush ICE cars, but you don't know if it'll EVs? Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, by the way. That's why you gotta like own semi. I have no clue about Weijo. I'm feeling the same thought though. Notice 80% of companies are no longer talking at conferences. What conference? Conferences were 4 weeks ago. I don't think there are conferences right now. Nvidia and Soxel up the same amount. Wow. Soxel levered. So's Nvidia today. Nvidia is fucking up big. I wonder if this is based on the early reports of the 4090 selling very well, which is fucking wild that it is. Woodmaster, what are you defining as U.S. automotive? Super important. What's the definition? Is it cars manufactured in the U.S. or cars manufactured by U.S. manufacturers? Okay, vehicles sold in USA. Interesting. Hmm. Windmaster, I wonder what the numbers were compared to like pre-pandemic. Is that just because the pandemic we saw basically new car production shut down? Remember, the first thing that happened when the pandemic happened is automakers slashed chips of orders of chips because they thought, well, immediate recession, people will stop buying cars, and they proved very wrong. Vehicle sales. Yep. Look at the impact of recessions. Interesting. We lost about 4 to 5 million. Wow. The pandemic start, yeah. I'd love to see the production numbers too. So I know production dived. Never forget, automotive companies caused a good portion of the semiconductor shortage early on in the pandemic. It was their fucking fault. By the way, this has been a very boring power/sour hour. We've had flat hour. See, Bird. What if we try to copy how Toyota does their inventory, but skip the most important bit about knowing which items are a bottleneck and keeping extra of those? Every other car manufacturer. To be fair, Toyota's been fucked on this too. But yeah, wild. Absolutely wild. The funny thing is this is not the first time the global automotive industry has had to deal with a semiconductor shortage. Okay? I know you guys have heard me tell this story before, but back in 2011, when the Japan earthquake happened, the big earthquake which generated the tsunami, the Renesas plant was badly impacted. It caused a global semiconductor shortage for automobiles. Toyota learned their lessons from that. No one else did. Yep, correct. They weren't as fucked as Ford for. Oh, God. Nothing bothers me more than the fact that when Gina Raimondo um, was talking to the different companies of the semiconductor shortage, it basically turned into what can we do for the U.S. automotive sector. And the entire time I'm screaming like, it's these motherfuckers' faults. They canceled the chip orders. Their fault. By the way, how's Global Foundries doing today? They should be up. They're up a little bit. They should be up more. There's some report about the U.S. sponsoring some gallium nitride with a grant. Hey, Ronap, how you doing, my friend? Wendy, are you gambling today? Be honest. You and the gamble? I respect you if you are. It's okay. We're homies. And you talk about Tesla earnings, they're going to fraud the fuck out of it. Oh. Gamble. You're always gamble. Nice. Okay, I respect that. Yeah, thoughts on Tesla earnings. We already know their deliveries number missed. I think their margins are probably going to go down because of all the incentives. They kind of have a demand problem. And part of the problem is Tesla's had a lot of tailwinds thanks to the complete and utter shit state of the rest of the automakers. Now the other automakers are not that bad. Saudis put out a new production cut fact sheet, and their argument is essentially oil isn't up as much as nat gas and coal. What if all the sell side people who have negative viewpoints die tonight when they take their Teslas for a drive and FSD just puts them directly into oncoming traffic? Question. All right, guys, let's chat for a second. How has earnings been for you guys so far, huh? Like anybody keeping track of earnings so far started last week with the banks. All right. We've had the banks, we've had Pepsi. You can go ahead and include Micron. That's fair. You can include AMD. That's fine. All right. How's earnings been to you guys? I'm here. All right, we back? Here's my takeaway from earnings so far. First of all, a lot of companies have already either guided down or analysts have done it for them, particularly for next year. So expectations are not nearly as lofty. I get that. But all in all, to me, I'm looking at Pepsi, I'm looking at the banks, I'm looking at their commentary in regards to consumer. Even Micron and AMD. Leave aside the PC and consumer electronic segments, which we know is a problem right now. Look at the rest of their commentary. Honestly, I'm very positive on it. Prometheum. Following week one, 36 S&P 500 companies, including early reporters comprising 10% of the index, have reported. Third quarter EPS estimates continue to slide last week, which is good. After a bigger than usual 7% cut heading into earnings, yep. Just 42% of companies beat on both sales and EPS. Yep. So interesting. Interesting. But yeah, I have found the commentary in particular, because I don't necessarily care too much about the specific numbers. Honestly, it's a lot of times it's the commentary and how the CEOs see it. Yep, here we go. The 69% giggity reported a positive EPS surprise, and 6 Yeah, we still have stream problems. $100 million in puts just hit the SPY in the last minute. Nice. So yeah, I think the earnings story so far has been positive. Generally positive. Expectations are lower though. To me, the big highlight for me for earnings so far is Morgan Stanley versus Wells Fargo. All right. Morgan Stanley did not do well. Wells Fargo did. They both, generally speaking, the same sector. To me, I want to see that level of differentiation. I do. Ronap, you want to talk about Amazon earnings too? I like Amazon going to earnings. Shit, there was just a research report this morning that said there was upside to Amazon specifically on top line and for margin expansion. Yeah, Woodmaster. Oh no, not more fuel for the melt up. Stop. Whatever you do, don't buy more puts. I know. Correct, Eddie calls. Long calls. Wells is consumer. MS is investment banking, but MS is also now wealth management. They made that big switch in the last like 2 or 3 years. So, but you're generally right. It shows that there's different sectors, different end markets. And the investment banking market, we know, is shit. It sucks. It is bad. Wow. Bank of America CEO. Early or late stage card delinquencies all remain well below our pre pandemic levels. These are decades old lows, and we're just now seeing gradual moves off these lows in early stage delinquencies. Late stage delinquencies are still 40% below pre pandemic levels. Check SPY. SPY is above our pivot point, by the way. And I made it a little tougher for the bulls today, so. End of day melt up, high of day, which, by the way, Andy Constant predicted. Let me show you. If you guys do not follow Andy Constant, you should. He posted this morning at 11 o'clock. Close on the highs today, in his honest opinion. Ooh, Netflix getting shit on by Bank of America. You're buying calls? Wow. Why no one ever talks about Wells Fargo? What's there to talk about with them? Yeah, the 699 does look like shit. God, Kanye West is buying Parlor. Oh well. Latinus Orangutang. Speaking of Netflix, I was wondering, have they in any way succeeded in diversifying their business, or are they just a streaming service? They're not just a streaming service, believe it or not. They've already diversified. They are now a production company, a content creator in themselves. So they do their own original programming, which is very expensive. They used to just be streaming other people's shit. Candace Owens' husband is CEO of Parler. Shocker. God. As soon as her memes show up on someone's Facebook page, the likelihood of that person dying from COVID goes up. You know what I'm saying. I think she's a good businesswoman. She's quite the looker, too. I think she's looking. I'll admit it. No, I haven't watched Rings of Power yet. I'm going to wait. I'll eventually binge watch it all. I did see the new Hellraiser, and I saw the new Halloween. And I don't know what to think yet. I like it when a horror movie tries new things. I don't know the time to try new things is the last version of the movie. You hate remakes? I like the Hellraiser one. For anyone who doesn't believe in global warming, put it this way: would you ever run your car's engine in the garage? Right? At a certain point, that's what it comes down to. I'm not one of those people who believes, oh my God, we're going to destroy the planet. No, the planet will destroy us. Okay? That's the truth. At some point, the carbon goes up. We as humans will be unable to survive. Planet will be fine after we're gone. Have you seen the actions of these oil protests? They're fucking stupid. God, I hate them. I hate it. I do. You can be interested in a cleaner environment and at the same time acknowledge that Jesus Christ, like, it's privileged as fuck to be like, well, the world should stop using, carbon completely. Cool. Cool. We're choosing poor people to starve now, huh? Is that the case? No, but we should invest more in renewables. Cool. We're not there yet, though. Again, we want to choose poor people to die? Go ahead. I'm an asshole. No more snow crabs. Throwing paint on a Van Gogh. I hope they clean that fuck with a baby seal. I said it. And I like seals. Yeah. There needs to be an understanding of the inherent sexiness of modernism or centrism. All right? Truly. Yeah, it was soup, not even paint. Then they glued their hands with oil-based glue. Fuck themselves. Stupid little bitches. But a baby orca, fuck off. If you could try, they're heavy. Sexy seals. Shut up, LH. Sexy seals. A hair coloring yeah. Ugh. They're the worst. Again, I've been clear, like, what we should actually do, like, in this world, work on using less coal, specifically coal for energy. And if it means we use more natural gas, okay, fine. What happens to emissions? Let's use more nuclear. And by the way, let's keep investing in renewables. There's nothing fucking wrong with that. All right? Nothing wrong with that. The people who are like, oh my God, we should never invest in renewables. Look how much we've spent and look how much of our energy comes from renewables. I'm like, motherfuckers, would you have stuck with whale oil, 100 years ago? No. 2 billion buy side? Holy shit. That's a big number. It's a pretty big number. So it was covered with glass. Got it. Yep, Suchi says, exactly, just scale out the low calorific fuels by one by one without compromising economic growth. Yeah, we need to acknowledge that economic growth, unfortunately, keeps people alive. All right? Economic growth matters. Remember, from The Big Short, for every X% the unemployment rate goes up, X number of people die. Mortality rate actually goes up. All right? Everything's a trade-off. Chem Life. Renewables are only an option in specific geographies. The ROIs in most places are straight up terrible. But that changes. That's what we go with breakthroughs. The same thing would have held true converting from whale oil to petroleum out of the ground. The same thing would have happened. It took investment and it took innovation. Just happened, innovation was easier. There's a lot of work being done on pretty cool ideas, and guess what? Not all those ideas will work. That's fine. We learn. Well, let's stop pretending like it's all wasted. Sometimes the knowledge is worth the loss. But meanwhile, we shouldn't throw away the energy sources we have hoping these work. Renewables are down the energy density ladder. Interesting strategy. What about the energy supply chain? Think about the hydrocarbons. Think about oil and coal. Oil and coal is sunlight trapped in a different form. If we ever had the ability to actually master with a high efficiency the utilization of sunlight, it's the most efficient. We're just not there yet. But yeah, nuclear is most dense. You could say density or you could say supply chain. For those of you wondering what I mean by coal is just sunlight in a different fashion. Sunlight hits plants, plants feeds dinosaurs, dinosaurs die, get buried, compressed, oil is produced, we pump it out, we refine it, we use it. What if we just use sunlight the normal way? We just need a lot of research. Is XBI a good ballsy? If you think there's a recession, here's a crazy thing, Daddy Longlegs. If you think there's a recession, you can make the argument you've got some secular growth with like tech or biotech. That's why there's a train of thought that says, if you think we're hitting a recession, tech's where to go. Because you're looking for secular growth, not cyclical growth. And a recession is the downstroke on the cyclical kind of business cycle. To City, by the same logic, sunlight is nuclear fusion pack. Yep, you're right. Sunlight is just energy emitting, it's basically photons, from a different nuclear reactor. Kind of like the whole idea as to why like secular growth is just someone else, it's just a longer or a different cycle. Chem Life, it just bothers you to know that solar projects are getting greenlit. Okay, get it? Greenlit in like Northern Europe and stuff like that. But would it bother you if they didn't throw away every logical like hydrocarbon project at the same time? Like imagine this. At the same time they're pumping research in on the green side, on renewable side, if they also were smart about pipelines and gasification and more intelligent drilling. Like, I'm sorry, the year is 2022. We should be able to extract oil in a pretty efficient manner. We should also have efficient power plants. Look at the drill. Oh. Yeah, Chem Life, we know. We know. The biggest complaint. Everyone wants to make a bunch of wind, solar, and EV, but the second you want to make a copper mine, I know. You're right. B-Hood, why can't we just cover all our major rivers with solar panels, which would also prevent evaporation over them? Probably does like really bad shit to like wildlife that utilizes the rivers, but you're probably right. They flood and damage precious silicon panels. Yeah. If we really morally justify the expansion of fracking for nat gas, we can't figure out how to do it without causing earthquakes in places that never had them. It's a tough issue. It's a tough issue, don't get me wrong. Yeah, by the way, I think river ecosystems would need sunlight. Or fishermen, yeah. We cover like in California, they have a new project where they're basically putting over like the like the Los Angeles Canal, where they're putting solar panels on the top of it, which I think is fucking brilliant. Daddy Long calls Twitch didn't change shit. I did. I had that ability. Solar has a much smaller land use requirement, so this can be put on buildings and decentralized. But we need a new electrical grid to truly take advantage of decentralized energy generation. But yeah, I think there needs to be smarter ideas. I'm with Rad. I think we need to find a different mechanism. More importantly, I think we need to invest a lot more broadly on the energy side. We should not be throwing out if we're going to throw out anything for energy, coal. For energy, throw out coal. But meanwhile, I think we should basically be looking to expand and just be more intelligent about all of it. Yeah, Steely Hands, you're exactly right. We need a new grid no matter what. Who won? The Bears. And by the way, even when I say that we need to get rid of coal for energy use, the reason I keep using the words for energy use is we will never get rid of coal for metal purposes, which is fine. Hold on. Before I even check Twitter, Elon's Twitter. All right, nothing big there. Wait for it. Oh, God, no. That was 2 minutes ago. Solar wind have huge requirements at the utility scale, though. Your prediction is the current wind solar cycle is shale a la 2010 to 2014. Massive overbuilt and bad geography is coming. So you have highly, as we already have, high graded locations. Capital structure is massive. Possibly. And that's part of the natural learning process. Not all investments ever work out. And by the way, that's been a case for oil and gas for a long time, too. That's always been the case. Yeah, let me give the Bears the points. I know. It's sad. It's savage. A lot of Bears won, though, so there you guys go. Nuclear is pretty much a miracle. Actually, when you describe what nuclear energy is, yeah, it is. It's a fucking miracle. It's mind-boggling that we let these things close early with all the sunk costs. 100% agree. The most fucked up thing to me is what's caused more cancer in this planet. Nuclear power plants or coal plants, and the answer is coal plants. Salt rock smelt is correct. Storage really is the key. What causes more cancer per megawatt hour? I'm pretty sure that's coal. Crazy how Nvidia's up 6% and AMD's up 3%. This is not a fair world, my friend. Was there any earnings of any interest? Rio, and I think Rio's tonight, aren't they? I think Rio's tonight. Let me see if any. Who are these jabroni companies? Oh my god. Elon Musk subtweet: SpaceX has already withdrawn its request for funding. Yeah, not seeing any earnings right now. Nuclear has the lowest death per megawatt hour of any energy source. But if we all work together, we can raise that number. It's a good chart. See it. How to get Asia to net zero. Eliminate a lot of Asians. No, we don't want to do that. Oh, I don't have a sub. Why are we looking at Twitter? Because Elon tweeted this. The idea of Twitter potentially working together with Parler since Kanye West bought Parler. God, will David Sachs shut the fuck up about Crimea and Ukraine? Hey, it's not mine. Thank you very much for the sub. Am I still iffy on playing anything this week? Kinda. I'm playing very lightly. You can't wait till Trump, Kanye, Elon, whatever makes a full zero censorship platform. To learn real quick why people can't handle that when it becomes 8 chan an hour, and when it all of a sudden starts losing money because every real advertiser backs out. So the only companies trying to do advertising are like Gold and those vitamin companies that swear they can undo the effects of like vaccines. And all of a sudden they're not offering a lot. CM Bird, can you remember when rich people built libraries instead of going to space or buying? Fuck you for my age, for the age comment. But yes, I can. The Carnegie Center. Dick pills. Local single MILFs want your silver. Christian Mingle. Oh, God. True story. Apparently, when Christian Mingle asks questions, one of the questions, at least it used to be, what do you most want to see in a woman? And if you answer my dick, you get banned. Farmers only. Yep. Frugal Careful playing the SQQQ. What if last Friday was fake? There's an argument to be made. Last Friday, the sell-off was because UK pension funds had to dump a lot of assets. They were given until Friday to do it. If that's the case, that Friday sell-off was fake. Anti-farming MILFs in your area. Yep. XPO with partial pre-announcement raised guidance. Who was it this morning that guided up? It was one of the medical, was it Kleiner Perkins or... Perkin-Elmer. PKI. PKI pre-reported this morning, sort of, and it was positive. So XPO with a partial guide up. No, or I'm sure the earnings recession will hit us at some point. It looks like they're guiding down. They're moving up, though. Are they? Now they're starting to go down. I see Q3 revenue of $3.04 billion versus a $3.1 billion estimate. Might be special reasons for it. I know they spun off part of themselves. Synopsis, B Hood, SNPS. They're the ones being accused. I don't know where it's gone though. Backdoor Bob, you thought Info was bad? It was, and yet probably not as bad as Friday's sell-off would indicate. It also happened to coincide with at the same time that we saw that the deadline for the UK pension funds existed. Yeah, allegedly. So did DWAC get their funding? Dude, I don't know. I like this. FinTwit Observer number 1. The metaverse is likely a failed experiment that may or may not happen, like ever. Also, FinTwit Observer number 1. Self-driving Tesla cars will kill every taxi business in the world in the next 3 years. I agree. I mean, people understand. Even with how much money Facebook is putting into the metaverse and on research and development, you do understand Facebook's incredibly profitable. If they weren't investing that much money, they would be like stupidly profitable. But they're still a very profitable company. We'll kill every taxi business by killing the taxi clientele. And what comes next for Meta? Yeah. Behood, you agree for now, but their future growth streams are non-existent. Yep. No, that's an important consideration. Put it this way: would you buy? I mean, I would almost treat Meta if they weren't doing the investment. I would treat them like a coal company, where it's like, okay, I know you're shitting out cash right now, but long-term future, I question your growth prospects. Isn't Uber killing all the taxis anyway? Is it? You saw the Tesla semi goes from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. It should, Tommy. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the difference between an electric motor versus a gas internal combustion engine transmission, the speed at which it can go to max is basically limited by software and the human body. Yep, Tommy Hayes, I saw it. Uber's delivering weed in Canada now. God bless Canada. That's fucking smart. Yeah. Was there a person you follow that mentioned the UK pensions? I think Andy Constant talked about it. Team Green got greener. Yep. For those of you that don't know, NVIDIA is often called Team Green. In the semiconductor space and the chip space, you have Team Green, Team Blue, and Team Red. NVIDIA's green, Intel's blue, AMD's red. Let me pull up Andy Constant's Twitter. I think he mentioned it. Either him or one of the people he follows, maybe Bob Elliott. Hmm. My pleasure, Bob. I know this George Robertson's very interesting. You don't want to know the case this guy's making. Air with a 13.74% pump. Rio Tinto is supposed to present earnings. I think it's this evening, though, because they're Australian based. Anyway, this guy made an argument, a very interesting argument, made it last night, where he talked about his prediction for the S&P, believe it or not, next year was 6,000. And he had an interesting argument behind it. I don't agree with it. That was interesting, though. You just heard full port. No, don't do that. He's not a dumb guy. I'm going to sit there and say that. Basically, his argument was on the inflationary side. You have a very high period of nominal growth. EPS is based on high nominal growth. If inflation actually does come down, then you could see some supportive flows, specifically like 6,000. And then, by the way, he followed by saying, and this isn't good news, because if we ever hit $6,000, we will then have a big crash the following year. Master, him and David Hunter have never been seen in the same room. Just saying, yep. Even Tom Lee has backed off a SPY. Yeah. At this point, if you think by the end of the year we get 480, how the fuck do you get there? Anyway, let's go ahead and see what our good friend Jay Jared's up to. Market's absolutely ripping after hours. Well, is it real? Do we treat it as real? Do we think it matters? Anyway, friends, thank you for tuning in today. I will catch hopefully a lot of you guys tomorrow. And hopefully the internet connection will be better. So I'm going to march my ass over to like Walmart and Target and see if I can find some hardware to help get me hardwired in. Take care, guys. Peace.